realized that I can't really relate to people that are just pro-choice. Like, I've noticed that a lot of people, they have like certain things that they think are okay to get an abortion for, and others where they're like, no. But I'm very much like pro-abortion. Like, I do not think that everyone needs to have kids. I think that less people need to have kids because not everyone is fully equipped to be a parent. I wish more people would choose not to have kids. I'm never going to be one of those people that are like, oh, she uses abortion as birth control and whatever. For one, people don't really do that. And if they do, I'm not rocking that baby to sleep. I'm not paying for shit. So let's return that thing to the sender. What does that have to do with me? I don't care. And I am of the belief that a lot of people would have been a lot better off if they had chosen not to have kids. And I think that a lot of children, blessing to people that want them, whatever, but like, I just don't care. I don't care if you get pregnant like every 2 months and get an abortion. That has nothing to do with me. Like, I don't care what stage you're in, what the reason is. I don't care if you want to abort the baby because the guy that you were going to have it with looked at you the wrong way yesterday. I don't care. I don't care. Any reason to have one is fine by me. I'll even take you there if we're friends. I'd love to know why it isn't enough that the patriarchy hurts women and girls. Why the fuck do we have to care that it affects men too? Why am I supposed to care that men can't cry when women can't even get proper support when they're postpartum? And they can cry and they can show their emotions. They ruin entire lives, entire countries, entire planets with their emotions, with their inability to control them. They are more emotional than women could ever be. And that is shown by the fact that they commit the majority of violent crimes. How is the logical sex the ones committing the most violent crimes? You're supposed to be logical. It's not logical to do that. And the fact that you have to tell men that feminism can benefit them too is part of the fucking problem. Their inability to care about anything that doesn't somehow benefit them is the biggest issue. That's the biggest fucking issue. Why do we need to tell them, oh, this will benefit you too? Like, yeah, it will benefit them if they're able to be a little bit more emotionally available and whatever. But that's not feminist problem. It's not feminist job to make men feel good so they can cry in dresses. It's not feminist job to make men feel good about painting their fucking nails. It's not our job. That's not going to achieve female liberation. I don't give a fuck about you wearing a fucking dress or looking like Harry Styles. I don't care. I don't care. I want women and girls to stop being fucking harmed. I don't care about your toxic masculinity. I don't care about holding your hands while you cry or giving you the space for that. That is a completely separate issue. That is not going to help women achieve liberation. It pisses me off so much that I can't even like get my thoughts together because it's so infuriating how much of feminism has become about them, and they don't know how to be male feminists without centering themselves or without focusing only on the things that somehow benefit them. Like, yeah, of course you're going to be like, yay, sex work, because you want to pay for that. You want to subscribe to OnlyFans and like get off to girls being fucking brutalized on Pornhub. So of course you're going to say yes. Of course you're going to be all for hookup culture. No shit. No shit. How come they never talk about FGM or femicide or any of the other things that have no benefit to them and actually make them have to question themselves and what they do in society and how they contribute to a culture that results in women and girls being harmed? We also leave out the fact that even in societies and cultures where it is okay for men to cry, they are still misogynistic. They can wear the skirts all day long and they're still violently misogynistic. They're still doing all kinds of heinous, disgusting shit to women and girls. So I really don't care. I really don't care. You cannot bamboozle me into caring about that shit. What really kills me is when y'all get on this app and be like, she's not a girl's girl when a girl does something, but in reality, you were probably one of those people that were making a thirst trap to Amber Heard's rape testimony, or you were laughing at those videos, or you were participating in the harassment and vilification of her. So I don't want to hear about you guys saying that you're girls or claiming that somebody else isn't, because you aren't either. It's just really fucking rich coming from people on this app. It really is. I know that not everyone participated in it, but the majority of you did. And regardless of whether you believed her or not, making a thirst trap to a rape testimony, that should be off limits. So it's really fucking ironic to watch you guys get on here and think that you have any sort of authority to be like, oh, she's not a girl's girl, she doesn't support women, when in reality, neither do you, because it was really fucking easy for a man, a rich, powerful man, to be able to convince you that he was a victim of someone over 20 years younger than him. You guys are not good people, much less girls. So get a fucking grip.
maybe unlearn your internalized misogyny, and then maybe you can call yourself one, because what you guys did to Amber Heard was like the epitome of not being a girl's girl, or even just being a decent fucking human being. You guys are stupid and very, very misogynistic.
This cannot be the 20s that people claim is like a woman's peak. These cannot be the same 20s they're talking about. I just refuse to believe that your peak is the age when you don't know what the fuck is going on 99% of the time. You think your life is going one way. It's not going that way. Most likely, it's not going that way. You're figuring out how to navigate adult friendships, adult relationships, adult family dynamics. You're not super securing yourself typically. Like, you're just very, like, still kind of angsty. Like, I feel like it's like a prolonged, like, it's like an extension of the teenage years. You're still unpacking like so much from childhood, and you're still figuring out, certain things, and figuring out your insecurities and your standards. And it's a time where you have a lot of shitty relationships because you don't know exactly what you want and what you're not willing to settle for. And it's just like a lot of learning and stuff. And I'm one that wants to appreciate like every stage that I go through in life, and I think there's beauty in that, but there's no way that I'm going to be like one of those people that are like, oh, I miss my 20s, or like holding on to my 20s or my youth for dear life. Like, I cannot wait to be 30, because I feel like that if there is a peak, I don't believe in women having peaks. Like, I feel like women are amazing all throughout their lives, and like there's just different times when you're thriving and there's different times where you're not. It just depends on like what's going on. People are just far too obsessed with women being as young as possible and like maintaining their youth and looking like they're in their 20s forever. And I'm like, I personally don't want that. I don't want that. I can't wait to be 30. I can't wait to get older. I can't wait to know what the fuck is going on at any given moment and feel like I have adjusted to life and adulthood. I just don't think the 20s are all that people try to make them out to be. And like, I'm going to enjoy them while I'm in them, and I'm going to like figure it out. But I'm not going to look at it like my peak. And I don't think I'm going to miss my 20s. Like, once it's over, it's over. I'm not going to be clinging to my 20-year-old self and like saying like, oh, I miss being in my 20s. Like, oh, to be young again. No, because women, personally, to me, I think get more attractive, more confident, more secure, more everything after 30. Like, I feel like anything before 30, you're just kind of like figuring shit out and trying to establish who you are as a woman. So no, I don't think that your peak is your 20s. There's no fucking way your peak is your 20s. All rappers are misogynistic. There's not a single one that's not degrading women in his music. And you guys can say it's just music, but that's why you act so shocked and you start clutching your pearls when you find out that they have abused their girlfriends or have sexually assaulted women. Like, the proof is in the pudding. None of them respect women. So it shouldn't be a surprise to you, but nobody takes misogyny seriously. So of course you're going to be like, wait, he actually hates women. He actually doesn't value them. He told you that. He already told you that. A record number of children, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 7 boys, are experiencing sexual violence across the world. In a historic step forward, Together for Girls launches Break the Record in a groundbreaking attempt to end childhood sexual violence. At the center of the campaign is this book, which contains data and practical solutions to end childhood sexual violence in a way that has never been seen before. To access the digital version of this book and take action to end childhood sexual violence, visit www.breaktherecord.org. That is www.breaktherecord.org. Thank you. My favorite thing that men do when I post a video about misogyny or the patriarchy or any of that stuff is they start tagging big male creators as if to say, like, put her in her place, Dimitri, please. Like, please zip up his pants when you're done and make sure you wipe off your mouth too. I don't know if my videos don't make it clear, but there is nothing in this entire world that I care less about than a man's thoughts on anything. Even if he is agreeing with me, even if he is whatever, like, I don't care to hear a man's thoughts. So I never watch those videos. I instantly just block them. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, a man starts talking and it's like my brain just cannot and will not think of it as something important, because it's just not. Like, I don't care. Like, I think it's a lot more profound listening to a woman talk about fucking coffee order or something like that. Like, there's nothing a man can say that's going to move me or that I'm going to think it's profound or anything other than like, oh, I had the thought when I was 5 years old. Like, I don't care about what any man has to say. I don't know how much clearer I can make that, but I don't give a fuck. So when men make their videos about me and you are so excited with his meat down your throat, make sure you remember that I personally do not give a flying fuck. Like, I know that you are balls deep in male validation and you want it so badly, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. The internet has convinced y'all that intrusive thoughts are just any thoughts that you have that are kind of like socially unacceptable or something like that. But intrusive thoughts go against your morals so deeply, they disgust you and make you feel sick to your stomach so much that you wouldn't tell someone that you know and love, let alone the entire world, about them. You are a misogynist. Fantasizing about hurting pregnant women or women in general, that is not an intrusive thought. That thought goes along with your line of thinking entirely, especially when you double down and use misogynistic terms to fight against women that disagree or don't like the fact that you are sharing them. Journals exist for a reason. The world does not need to know that you think about raping women. That's weird. No normal person that values and respects women is going to share something like that. That's just point blank period. Even if it is genuinely an intrusive thought, but I'm willing to bet that it's not that, because he likes talking about women in a way that they didn't consent to. He was talking weirdly as fuck about Selena Gomez before she turned 18. His lyrics about Taylor are fucking disgusting because he is a misogynist, not because he is role playing, not because he's trying to spread awareness, because he's a fucking misogynist. It really is that fucking simple. And it's hard for you guys to see it because misogyny is so prevalent everywhere that you're just like, oh, this is normal. It is completely normal for him to talk about women like this. But if a woman made songs talking about doing that to men, please, please. There is nothing funny, there is nothing profound about commentary like that when we live in a world where most of the crimes against women are committed by men. It is not funny or profound when the leading cause of death in pregnant women is being murdered. So joking about harming pregnant women, not funny. Calling it a threesome, that is a joke. So let's not be fucking stupid. If you still like him, if you just want to have his meat down your throat, go for it, but let's be honest with ourselves about the reality of things. He is a misogynist, and if you like his music, you are not only a misogynist, but also a rape apologist. That's just how it goes. No normal, healthy person is going to talk about rape in a joking way or think that it's profound to share something like that when violence against women is so fucking prevalent. No one but a misogynist is going to do that. No one but a rape apologist is going to do that. You guys are fucking stupid. And when you don't recognize misogyny on this type of scale, it makes it a lot easier for people to act shocked and be bewildered when things actually happen. These things start from somewhere. And when it is okay for men to talk about things like that, that is a problem. When you don't see backlash about that, but you see backlash about the books where women fantasize about killing their oppressors, which does not really happen in real life, while femicide is actually a real prevalent thing, that is a problem. But it's because you guys think women are suitable victims, but you don't think that men are. You think that women are suitable for harassment, but not men. You think that women are suitable for degradation, but not men. That is the problem. Nobody gives a fuck about his shitty fucking music. Nobody gives a fuck that you have his dick down your throat. We care that violence against women is so fucking normalized that this dumbass is able to convince you guys that it's just his silly, intrusive thoughts and he's spreading awareness and whatever the fuck. Like, no. He thinks that shit is funny. He made a joke about it. He is doubling down on it by using misogynistic terms. What's not fucking clicking? Anna from Love is Blind, like this current season, I love her. I don't care. I love her so much. I love an unapologetic woman. I love a woman that owns her shit. I love a woman that is able to be honest with herself and be honest with who she's around. Like, that weaponized incompetence shit is not cute. It's not funny. I know a lot of women love to be men's like mommies. But she doesn't have that desire, and I love her for that. I love her for that because she wants someone that's competent, that knows shit that adults are supposed to know. She wants all of that, and I love that. I love that she's so honest and she's so blunt, so whoever she ends up with cannot be one of those, like, I'm such a soft little baby, like, please mother me, please do my laundry, please teach me basic shit about adulthood that I should literally already know before I'm looking for marriage. She doesn't want that shit. And a lot of women want to be men's mommies because they want to feel needed, and they want to feel chosen, and they want to feel like all of that shit. But she's a smart girl. She's a smart girl, and I like her a lot. And also, I did not like the way that people were acting like she wasn't taking accountability, because she was. Her and Marissa were like acknowledging, like, yes, she can be an absolute asshole sometimes, but those men are not these soft little babies that have never done anything wrong in their entire lives. They were doing shit behind the scenes that was terrible. And even on screen, they were doing shit that was just like, they're not these innocent little hurt animals. Like, they always try to like do what they did with Cole from that one season, where it's like, this dumbass man, let's make him our little baby and coddle him for being, oh, he's just so dumb and he just doesn't know. And even when he's being like hurtful or misogynistic, like, it's just an accident. Like, this woman is so evil, because people aren't used to women standing up for themselves. They're used to women just taking shit and just being as small and taking up as small amount of space as possible, and these women aren't willing to do that, and I love that. I love it. I don't care if a woman is not super soft and super sweet and everything like that. I don't give a fuck, especially when you're incompetent. When you're incompetent, you should feel as pathetic as you are. I don't care. Especially when you're commenting on how she looks and making it seem like you're some fucking prize. Like, have you looked in the fucking mirror? You're no prize. You're no fucking prize. Let's be fucking for real. Not mentally, not financially, not any of those things. You're a fucking loser, and you should feel like one every second of your fucking life. I don't give a fuck.
A man who loves you would never try to stop you from having a glow up, because he wants you to be the best version of yourself. That's the part I want you to hear really loudly, because he wants you to be the best version of yourself. That's why he would never actively interrupt, discourage, or try to get in the way of your glow up. Ladies, listen to me. And a man who really, truly loves you will be an active participant with you on that journey in the role of helper and facilitator, as in he makes it happen or he helps it along. I'm not talking about a guy who's always like trying to improve you in ways you don't want to be improved. I'm talking about you want to improve yourself in a certain way. You already know what way that is. He's not trying to give you advice on anything. He's not trying to force anything. He's thinking about how to help make that happen. And I'm going to once again tie this back to the idea most men live with and operate out of a main character syndrome until they meet a woman that truly like sends them on a journey of decentering themselves, because they actually for once have tried to be an addition to somebody's life instead of a detraction. Like, they're not just there to take from you, they're there to actually give to you. I just want to be clear too that what I'm not saying is that women have to look a certain way or act a certain way or dress a certain. When I say glow down or glow up, I mean it very comprehensively. Like, I'm talking, this could be education, this could be a different career path, this could be general just health and wellness without taking looks into consideration, more vitamins or whatever, or eat healthier just because you want to feel better. All the things that you would do to enrich yourself in one way or another. A man who loves you will never, I repeat, never step in the way of that. Never. And I will die on that hill. To me, as somebody who grew up around a narcissist who constantly tried to devalue and nag me, I can tell you immediately that is the biggest red flag for you as a woman in a relationship. The moment that somebody tries to get in the way of your self-improvement journey, they are trying to devalue you. Just know that it's a conscious effort to get you to decenter yourself and to maintain their status as what they perceive to be the main character in not just their own story, but in everybody else's story. And just to be clear, if this shows up in small ways, it will eventually show up in big ways. Like, don't be fooled. Don't try to convince yourself that they're doing this because they love you. Don't try to convince yourself that it's because they're insecure. That is true. They are insecure. But at the point that they're trying to sabotage another person's attempt at improving their own life, listen, first of all, to how crazy that sounds, or discourage those attempts. Either way, it sounds crazy. At the point that they're doing that, they are dangerously insecure. So not just insecure, like think negative things about themselves or, just struggle with self-confidence. I mean, they're dangerously insecure as in they are unstable and they are trying to destabilize you and your life, because a sane, normal person would never try to discourage any attempts of yours at glowing up. I'm going to tell you something else. Too many women can see this dynamic very clearly with their girlfriends or when it's happening between a woman and a woman, right? Perfectly clearly when one of your friends subtly trying to nag you because she's jealous and because she wants to take you down a peg and because she views herself as the main character out of the two of you. So many women see this kind of stuff and chalk it up to she's jealous, she's just trying to compete with me and she feels like she's losing. But I need you to understand is that other women are not the only people competing with you and trying to nag you and trying to take you down a peg because they view themselves as the main character in your relationship. You may think that men have no reason to do this, but they absolutely do. I swear to you, everything in life makes sense once you find the right explanation that ties it all together. And I'm telling you, this is it right here. This is it right here. You're wondering, what's the cause of the boyfriend and the girlfriend effect? Why does the guy glow up and the woman glows down? That's why. Because he's okay. He's so okay with being the main character that he's just taking everything you give him and he doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't care what you need. He doesn't ask. He doesn't do it. He just takes your efforts and he doesn't reciprocate them. Who else gets to do that kind of stuff? The main hero of a story, the main character of a story. We never really see them repaying their faithful sidekicks for anything as they ascend to the top of the world. And then those same people are there to bail their ass out when they inevitably fuck up and take on too much. We always see some small semblance of gratitude, maybe a nod or a wink or a kiss, but we never see them actually reciprocate these efforts to their friends or their parents or their love interests or whatever. The point of the main character is that they're the main character and everybody else helps them. And so not only are they the main character to themselves, they're the main character to everybody else. That's why we have words like sidekick and love interest to describe the other people in the story, because they're not the main character. Is it making sense? Is it making sense? Because it makes perfect sense to me. It literally explains all of men's ratty, shitty behavior so fucking well. Listen to this.
Hey Mom, I want to know what are some words that describe being manly? That is a wonderful question, my boy. Why don't we take a look at Google and see if we can get that answer for you? So, according to Oxford, my son, you are brave, courageous, bold, fearless, you are daring, lion-hearted, adventurous, and determined, and even heroic. You are my little hero. Yeah! Hey Mom, what about me? I want to know words that describe being womanly. I wasn't gonna forget about you, my girl. Let's have a look. So, according to Google, some words that describe womanly are voluptuous, curvaceous, shapely, thick, busty, luscious, full-figured, well-formed, well-proportioned, full-bosomed, lush, curvy, ample.
In every single way, men have been given this idea that they are the main character. They're the hero, they're the brave one, they're the adventurer, they're the explorer. All that's going on in their head is me, me, me. How is this part of my journey? How is this person going to be part of my journey? It's not about how am I going to be a part of this person's journey or what kind of journey are they even on? They don't care. They don't care. That's why men feel so comfortable setting standards and boundaries in relationships where women don't. Because women are well, I have to adjust to him because, you think that too as a woman. You think that men are the main character until you don't, until you consciously realize that they're not and that you are the main character in your own fucking life. But women have to realize that for themselves. Nobody tells us that. And when we do realize that for ourselves and we start living accordingly, people get really fucking upset. Which brings me back to, this is why men interrupt your glow-ups. This is why men get in the way. Because they view you secretly as competition for the spotlight. And they know that the more that you glow up, the more that people are going to start comparing the two of you unfavorably to him. And he wants it to be the other way around. And the reason for that is because a lot of men are too lazy, too passive, and too frankly afraid to really improve themselves and try to keep up with the pace at which the average woman will go through and progress through her life. Most men are in a state of arrested development. And that's frankly, that's comfortable for them. And nobody really encourages them or tells them otherwise. They never really have to self-introspect and really define the boundaries of their life the way that women are constantly forced to. Oh, they're in the state of arrested development. They're comfortable there. They don't really want to reach this level where they know you're at. So they just try to drag you down to their level. They get in the way of you trying to improve yourself. You want to take, a couple years at school and finish up your degree or get another degree on top of that. And he's like, well, what about all the time that we're not going to spend together anymore? Instead of being like, that's amazing, honey. Like, have you thought about what's your schedule going to look like? Let me think of ways that I can like help. Oh, this is actually great because I've been thinking like I should also do XYZ. And so this will give me the time to pursue that. We can both like focus on ourselves a little bit. I think that's great. Like that's the sane person's response. That's a sane, normal individual's response to somebody saying like, hey, I want to improve myself a little bit. They'll be like, awesome. Like, what's the plan? And let me think about ways that I can help. Let me think of like some things that I could take off your plate or whatever, or let me think about what I can do with myself in that time. That's normal. Okay, what's not normal is subtle nagging. Yeah, you want another degree? Like, how well did that go for you the first time? Like, weren't you all stressed out? Like, you almost like flunk out? Well, that's gonna really take away from our time that we spend together. So, you know, I hope you're happy. Make it about themselves somehow. Again, main character syndrome. They're gonna be like, how can I make this about me? This behavior is basically learned narcissism. So because of the way that men are centered in media and laws and everyday life and everything, they are basically given narcissism on a platter. It's basically you are the main character and you should have whatever you want. Like reasonably or kind of not reasonably, like you should have whatever you want. Why they're so comfortable, even when you do want to give them something, they're so comfortable not reciprocating it. Because once again, the main character never really has to do that at the end of the movie. The main character gets to ride off into the sunset with his supporting side character cast by his side. And not enough women really give men enough credit for how committed they are to this main character bit. Like y'all really severely underestimate men's commitment. And a lot of women will stay in relationships for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, just giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. You fail to realize that his failure to ever reciprocate your efforts from the very beginning was always the way that he always intended to live. And a person who's so comfortable doing that for so long, there's no light at the end of that tunnel. I promise you, there's no light. There's no pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. There's a pot of shit. They will literally leave you as soon as they're no longer the main character. So coming back to the glow up thing, the reason that a man who loves you will never compromise you trying to improve yourself is because he doesn't want to be the main character in your life. He wants to be an equal partner. He wants you both to be the main character. But like the men that are really like obsessed with their wife, they are going to let her shine every time. All of my photos, because they're lives, in the background, if you play them and you play the sound, it's literally just the sound of my husband hyping me up.
Ooh, okay, damn. Oh, that's cute. It's cool as hell. Oh! Let's see what we got. Oh, that's nice. Okay, this is really cute.
He loves it when I look good. He loves it when I'm like showing off, whatever. Like, he does not care. It never threatens him in the slightest. It never makes him feel any type of way. We've been married for, it'll be 13 years in September. 13 years. And he has never once been like, you're gonna go to the gym so guys can like hit on you? You wanna intern on your summers off? Yeah, I bet. Who's gonna clean the house? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna blah, blah, blah? You wanna start a TikTok? Yeah, right. Why are you reading all those books? Like, I can't even describe to you guys how much, like, imagine the opposite of that. And that's the kind of energy that I get from my husband. It's like, oh, are you reading a new book? Like, tell me about it. Can we listen to it together? Are you super far into it? Thinking about starting like a social media account? That's amazing. Like, what do you need? You need a ring light. You need me research things. You want to quit your job and do something else? Go for it. Want to go to yoga in the mornings? I'll walk the dogs. You want lashes? Done. Go get them. Want to get your hair done? Go get it. Once I figured out like my personal style, he has started like looking for investment pieces for me to like buy me on holidays and stuff. He will literally spend time looking on websites that he knows I like and trying to help me finalize my capsule wardrobe, which is so like means so much to me. But a man who doesn't love you, he's not going to want to invest in you, which is everything that I just described, right? Investing in your glow up and supporting you along the way and like showing interest in those things. That's how you invest in somebody. And this, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is something that women effortlessly do for men. They don't even have to really try. It just comes out so easily and naturally. I want y'all to start holding that back. Because until a man really matches your energy with that, why are you telling him what shirt to buy? Why are you telling him, giving him career help and advice if he's not doing that for you? Match his fucking energy and then see how you like being in that relationship. Only do for him the kind of stuff that he would do for you, and don't give away your natural glow up powers. Keep them for yourself. Because honestly, like, women will get with some loser guy and immediately their wheels start turning on how can I make his life better? Is he doing that for you? And if not, think about why. Like, are you a more accomplished and on-track person than he is? Then maybe y'all don't belong together. Like, not every relationship has to be a project, okay? A relationship is a place, women, Women, listen to me. A relationship is also a place for you to receive things. Okay? A relationship is not the thing you receive. Okay? A relationship is somewhere where you can figure out whether you're compatible or not with somebody long term, like all that's fine. It is also a place for you to take and not just to give. I promise you, once you start looking to benefit from a relationship, you will find that a lot of men have nothing to offer you because they are secretly competing with you and trying to take what they can get from you. He doesn't know why you're doing it. He doesn't care. He just knows that you're doing it. And as long as you keep bringing value to his life, he's going to stay. And not only that, but he's also going to take it for granted. So what's in it for you? At the end of the day, that's what you need to ask yourself. For most women, the answer to that question is nothing but detriment. Nothing but a man trying to stop you from being the best version of yourself so that you don't, God forbid, outshine him in the story of his life. Because that's what he views you as a part of. He doesn't view you as somebody that has their own story or their own ambitions or their own goals or whatever. He literally thinks that you're there to make his journey better, and he thinks it's supposed to be that way. And that's why he gets confused as to why you want to improve yourself. He's like, you're fine, improve me. What about me? And that's how you know he doesn't love you. I hope this helps.
How could you say something so controversial, yet so brave and correct? Gail was not the only person designing the bombs. Do you really think they would trust a 19-year-old kid with all of that 100%? Gail's tactical experience prior to his time in District 13, other than like hand-to-hand combat, was making snares out of like sticks and rocks. Where would he have learned how to design a bomb in District 12? Like, look at Casca Highbottom. He introduced the concept of the Hunger Games as a joke when he was drunk, but he certainly didn't design and implement all of the technology that was used in the arena. He was simply completing the assignment he was given, which was to create a strategy. And that is exactly what Gale was doing. Gale was a war strategist. He wasn't a bomb designer. He wasn't a technician. He wasn't skilled with electronics. He wasn't even a skilled fighter as far as we know, at least prior to going through extensive training in order to become a soldier. Now, before people try and tell me that I'm a Gale defender, I'm not defending Gale. I'm just saying that he is not the only person responsible for everything that happened. I feel like we are giving him way too much credit there. Like, he's pretty smart, but he's not that smart. He was in District 13, surrounded by military experts. He was probably one of the least knowledgeable people there other than what he knew about the outside world. People love to compare him to Oppenheimer, but Beatty is Oppenheimer. Gale, on the other hand, in the great big scheme of things, is probably more of like the Josh Peck cameo in the Oppenheimer movie. Like, he was certainly there, and he was in the room, and he had a role, but I don't think it was as big of one as a lot of people assume. Like, again, he was 19 years old. How did Thresh know what Katniss did for Rue in the Hunger Games? I'll tell you, but only if you're ready for your heart to fall out of your butt. When Thresh whirls around on me, the rock raised, I know it's no good to run. And my bow is empty, the last loaded arrow having gone in Clove's direction. I'm trapped in the glare of his strange golden brown eyes. What did she mean about Rue being your ally? We teamed up. Blew up the supplies. I tried to save her, I did, but he got there first. District 1, I say. Maybe if he knows I helped Rue, he won't choose some slow, sadistic end for me. And you killed him? He demands. Yes, I killed him, and buried her in flowers, I say, and I sang her to sleep. Tears spring in my eyes. The tension, the fight goes out of me at the memory, and I'm overwhelmed by Rue, and the pain in my head, and my fear of Thresh, and the moaning of the dying girl a few feet away. To sleep? Thresh says gruffly. To death. I sang until she died. I say, your district, they sent me bread. My hand reaches up not for an arrow that I know I'll never reach, just to wipe my nose. Do it fast, okay, Thresh? This scene is so devastating, and the movies do not convey how devastating this is. Like, I'm having a hard time keeping it together because it's so sad. Katniss spends what she is certain will be the last few seconds of her life reliving that entire memory with Rue, and recounts the entire thing to Thresh, not to convince him not to kill her, just to try and convince him to do it quickly. It's here that Katniss and Thresh have an exchange about what they owe each other, and reminds us of these continuous themes from throughout the series of repaying debt. Katniss is completely controlled by the personal debt that she feels she owes everybody around her. While she's dealing with that internally, externally, the Capitol is telling her and all of the citizens of Panem that they have a personal moral debt to repay to the Capitol. This moral debt that the Capitol says they owe is what allows them to continue controlling and oppressing them. Then Cato gets there, and for just a few moments, they are 4 terrified tributes who are grieving the loss of their friends. Cato sees Clove on the ground, dying, and runs over to her and is begging her to come back to him with pain in his voice. She wasn't just a fellow career, she was his friend. He had the upper hand and he could have taken down both Thresh and Katniss in that moment, but he was completely overwhelmed with grief for long enough for Katniss to run away, and long enough for Thresh to take the backpack holding whatever Cato needed to survive in the arena. And the thing that makes me want to sob my eyes out is the fact that Clove wasn't dead yet when Cato got there. They're hearing the moans of the dying girl behind them. Tells me that for Cato, it was more important to him in those last few moments of Clove's life that he be there with her than it was for him to get the upper hand over Thresh and Katniss. Like, oh, Rue's scene is really devastating, but this one is also up there for me. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about the way Suzanne Collins chooses to name her characters because they are extremely intentional and well thought out. And I know I've talked about this recently, but I do strongly feel like she knew what she was doing when she chose some of the names. Like, first of all, we need to remember that this is the same woman behind Wow Wow Wubsy, one of the silliest, wackiest, and most beloved shows of my childhood. And she's a wordsmith, which is just a perfect recipe for comedy. Like, I've gone through some of the absolutely horrendous possibilities for ship names on here before, and I do think she did that intentionally because she didn't want the attention on the series to be about the relationships between characters. And between Prim's name being what it is, and the fact that the word reaping is brought up so many times throughout the series, there is not a cell in my body that thinks that Suzanne Collins didn't do that on fucking purpose. Like, in my humble opinion, there is no fucking way in hell that she wrote that and didn't immediately know what people were going to do with it. Additionally, prior to the Hunger Games, a lot of the media that Suzanne Collins put out was intended for very young children. A demographic that, for the most part, tends to find things like poop, butts, and farts extremely humorous. Again, not a cell in my body doubts that Suzanne Collins thinks the same thing. And for that reason, I do not think it was an accident that 3 of the characters in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes have names that end in words that mean but. I just know she did that on purpose. I know she fucking did that on purpose.
And this is exactly why I take my Kindle everywhere, because I do not need y'all in my business like this, okay? It is not that serious. Like, it's literally just a romance book. Like, I really don't care if people know what I'm reading. But it's the fact that, like, you're holding this book, you're sitting there reading in the airport, minding your business. Maybe 2 people that walk by you and, like, all the people in this airport know what you're reading. But the fact that some random lady recorded her and now 22.5 million people know that you're reading smut in an airport is crazy. And like I said, it's really not that serious. But I don't need y'all in my business like this. Especially not 22.5 million people. What the... Mind your business, lady.
I think it's time that we have a very real conversation about the normalization of Islamophobia because it's reached its peak. I just watched a video of Mehdi Hasan on Abby Phillips' show on CNN where he's expressing his support for Free Palestine, and then a right-wing commentator responds to him and says, well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off, referencing the pager explosions that happened in Lebanon by the Israeli occupation forces that killed hundreds of people. This man felt so comfortable to threaten a Muslim man on national television because he knew that he will not have to face the repercussions of that. CNN just politely asked him, don't come back to our show. But that man will continue to have a career. But can you imagine if Mehdi Hasan was to have said the same thing to a Jewish man on national television? Do you think that Mehdi Hasan would still have a career? How do you think the world, the media, the US government would respond to Mehdi Hasan if he was to threaten a Jewish person on national television? I sometimes find myself wondering, is it worse to be a racist in America, or is it worse to be a war criminal? And honestly, it's worse to be a racist in America because I see people fangirl over Barack Obama all the fucking time. Like, I see people to this day turn out for Barack Obama who bombed multiple Muslim Arab countries in the Middle East during his presidency, killed millions of people. And that is who gets fangirled here in America. But you mention someone like Kanye, it's over. Don't even mention Kanye. Don't even mention Trump. Those racists, no, those are terrible people. But the way that people fangirl over war criminals that are literally right now, there's an ongoing genocide happening right now. 200,000 Palestinians have died. And the way people fangirl over Kamala, got her hat on, her tote bag, her shirt. Like, it doesn't seem like you guys are having a hard time voting for this person. It seems like you're very happy to vote for this person, who is the VP of the person who is committing a genocide and funding a genocide. And she has stated multiple times that she continues to support the apartheid state of Israel, who is committing not only a genocide now in Gaza, but is entering war and killing thousands of people in Lebanon, bombing Iran, bombing Yemen, literally starting an entire regional war. And the fact that people are happily voting for her, dressing up for her as Halloween, as a Halloween character. Like, this is part of the normalization and the dehumanization of Muslims, not just in America, but across the world. And when I see marginalized people participate in it, who are also fighting their own oppression, I feel like, I don't know, I feel at a loss for words. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm constantly wondering, is it worse to be racist or is it worse to kill people? And in America, yes, it is all about the facade. It is all about keeping up appearances, saying the right thing, being educated. But if you can do all of that and kill a whole bunch of people, but you're keeping up the facade, that is okay. You're still going to get a vote. You're still going to be president. Half this country is going to vote for Kamala and the other half is going to vote for Trump. And both of these candidates are supporting a genocide. They are supporting the state of Israel. And I think that to me proves the normalization of Islamophobia, the racism towards Muslims, the fact that Muslims are not even seen as human beings. Because could you imagine if a Muslim country right now killed 200,000 Jewish people? Would this even be a question? There would not even be two candidates that would support this. And so many people constantly talking about both sides. Let's talk about a year into a genocide. People are talking about both sides. I seen the other day someone says, well, what will happen to the Israeli Jewish people if there's a free Palestine? They can go back home. Do you think that the Jewish people who went to Palestine cared where the Palestinians went after they stole their homes and took their land? Like, the way that you guys have so much empathy when it comes to the people who are killing Muslims, that is your inherent racism, and that needs to be called out.
I'm talking about the Wicked movie live vocals. Okay, I don't know if people understand how, like, much of a behemoth of a song. Do you see how I had to eat every syllable of that word? Yeah. Of a song Defying Gravity is. And I just heard, like, it was maybe a 5-second clip of Cynthia singing it live, and it's so easy for her. It actually makes, like, if someone was like, Arya, sing this song. When I hear the word something has changed within me, I quiver in fear. I would start to tremble. My body would fill with terror if someone was like, you have to sing this song, because I know where the song goes. Mind you, the portion of the song I heard is it's the climax of the song, essentially. Because when I tell you that song is so hard to sing and sound good, because it's just so hard to sing and sound good. There are people who are great singers, and that song will hand their fucking ass to them. It's very serious. I can't explain to you how unbelievably seated I'm going to be for that movie. When I tell you she's not breaking a sweat, it's like Jessica Vosk levels of not breaking a sweat. She's like, I could sing the song backwards, upside down, diagonally, eyes closed, mouth closed, perhaps, I don't know. Currently right now there exists 2 musical theatrical moments that are not explicitly sad that have brought me to tears. I mean musical/theatrical. Musical and or theatrical, if that makes sense. And that is one, when I saw Beyonce live. and she sang Dangerously in Love, and I started involuntarily crying. And 2, From Now On, from The Greatest Showman. And I fear the 3rd will probably occur in the Wicked movie, and I'm not joking. So I'm so sorry. Every time I try to watch the West Side Story remake, why is Ansel Elgort there? Why is he there? Oh, they needed a name, and you chose Ansel Elgort? Even if that was the reason, how did you come to that conclusion? How was that decision made? We needed a box office drop. Maybe a box office drop in 2013. But girl, my apologies. 2014. I had to look up when The Fault in Our Stars came out. Oh, Ariel, the movie came out before everyone knew he was weird. He still is out-acted, out-danced, and out-sung by every single person in that movie. Like, I just feel like even before the weirdo freakishness, loserishness was uncovered, I'm drawing a blank as to how we got here. Because there's some real theater-ass motherfuckers in that movie. And then he is also there. And you can't tell me he was the best person that auditioned, because I don't believe you. I'm so sorry, I don't believe you. Oh, Ariel, what's with all these Ansel Elgort whackings? I'll whack him again. Fucking freak. Like what? Can we use the AI for good and remove him? Can we AI be good for us? Being the Lorax for Halloween will always be funny. I've never once seen someone as the Lorax and not laughed. I have to laugh every time. There's something about, you see, because it's always so serious. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever seen a man dress up as the Lorax. I've only seen the girlies do it, and they eat every time. I'm sorry, because that's a serious duty. They're protecting the nature. Like, no one is ever fucking around when they dress up as the Lorax. They're taking that shit seriously. Like, motherfucker, I do speak for the trees. In fact, they hit the shit out of those poses. Like, it's so fucking serious. It's so serious. One year I will do that. I don't know when. It could be 10 years from now, because it will always be funny. It will never stop being funny. So, oh, Chaperone, you're always gonna be famous. You're always gonna be famous, because the SNL soundstage, that sound mixer has beef with everybody. I don't know. And you gagged? She gagged? A live SNL performance is very hard to gag. And the thing about Chaperone is the mic is always on. And here's the thing. I think we've actually been saying the mic is on too much. We've been saying it too much. Because the thing about Chaperone is the mic is on with no help. There is no backtrack. There's no live auto-tune. The mic is just on, period. That's how the phrase should be used. As a girly who loves pop music, this is perhaps a hot take, but if you only listen to pop music, I think people are allowed to not trust your music judgment. That is fair. If anyone listens to just one genre of music, I would say this about any one singular genre of music. If you only listen to one, I don't care about your opinion on music in general. You would not call someone a cinephile if they only see blockbuster hits. You would not, and that would, rightfully so, you would not do that. Even if they only watched silent movies and no other kind of movie, you wouldn't be like, you are an expert on movies. You are an expert on film. You may be an expert on silent film, but I fear sorry. And I do agree, people who hate pop music, that does not make you special or interesting. However, I think the point that people are making sometimes is oh, you only listen to pop music and therefore you degrade other kinds of music. You only listen to pop music and we can tell. That's the problem, is that we can tell, we know. Y'all, fun fact about me, every day of my life, my lip goal is for my lips to look like Angelina Jolie's in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is unfortunately a movie I enjoy. Unfortunate because that man is in it. But back to Angelina Jolie, she ate. And I am enjoying this current lip combo. That's what I wanted to say. I watched Nobody Wants Us on Netflix. Oh, they ate so bad. A show hasn't hit like that, and I don't know what they did. They got the sauce back. They literally got the sauce. They have the recipe. I don't know what it is, but they have it, girl. I don't know what it is, but I couldn't stop watching it. And I haven't seen a show that's about normal people that has got me like that in such a fucking minute. And I was like, I need to watch this whole thing right now. I have to. And there's no like, gotcha. There's nothing gimmicky about it. There's nothing like, but I was eating it. I don't know. I'm so sad. I don't know if I've been this seated before. You know how like recently people have been saying like rom-com movies have lost their sauce? That's the sauce. They have it. It's in their pocket. They took all of it. And it's all been collectively accumulated over time, over the past years, that we haven't had a really good rom-com, and they've been saving it all for this. This is a ploy. It's a ploy by Big Sauce, by Big Rom-Com Sauce.
You can't always just work your way out of an inherently biased system. And also, sometimes you are the master of your own fate, and your actions do have consequences that you should be accountable for. And the nuance there is why people should be upset about that one family of 6 going on 7 living in that 1-bed, 1-bath apartment. Because a lot of y'all are getting real, well, that's why poor people shouldn't have kids. And I personally will not be deciding who is and is not worthy of having children. I will not be judging people for what they do with their bodies and their reproductive choices, especially and specifically in an economy where we are all one emergency away from losing our homes if we could afford them in the first place. See, what y'all like to overlook is that a child is safe, loved, and cared for no matter the circumstances, whether they have tons of money or no money. Because I've known people who had next to nothing growing up and yet became happy, loved, well-adjusted people. I've also known people who grew up with a ton of money and grew up to be miserable people because they didn't have that loving support of a family. However, this particular family isn't prioritizing their kids and their needs. There's no reason that a family of that size should realistically be planning and banking on more kids. But more than that, those kids shouldn't be sleeping in the living room on the floor. They should be a priority. They should have the bed. They should at least have a pull-out couch with multiple comfy mattresses. The place should be pretty clean and pretty well organized as often as it can be. Parents shouldn't be prioritizing their comforts and their wants over their kids' need and well-being. And this isn't to say that like poor people shouldn't have nice things, but it is to say they shouldn't have nice things at the expense of the people depending on them. Like you shouldn't have a PlayStation if your kids are sleeping on the floor. Y'all gotta start approaching these conversations with some nuance. We can admonish people for knowingly and deliberately neglecting their kids and their needs without condemning a bunch of people, all people, who are living in less than ideal circumstances with families. I think y'all expecting way too much of politicians, especially considering how much time was left in this specific election. And because of that, I think y'all are always shocked when a politician plays the politics game, and it's leading to not only this like unjust sense of moral superiority in your own heads, but it's not grounded in reality in a way that's productive. Because it was always incredibly unlikely that Kamala Harris would ever pick up on our stances or our demands when it comes to Palestine, because they sit in direct opposition to the sitting president of the United States, and that is the administration that she works under. She's not going to undermine him. It was almost never going to happen. I'm not saying that we never should have tried and that we never should have protested. We should have. We should continue to do so. We should continue to apply pressure. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that the rhetoric she has been using is okay by any means, because it isn't. But to be shocked that it happened makes no sense, nor to be shocked by the consequences of that make no sense. Because so many people fairly and morally said, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris if she doesn't do this thing, which is well within your right to do. That's why we vote. She kind of washed her hands of our vote in a way. Because she knew she was not going to concede where we stand on Palestine, she had to go get her votes from somewhere else, which means that she had to shift to a more right position to get the moderate in-between undecided vote. I don't like it. You don't like it. You don't have to. That's okay. But that is the game that she's playing so that she can win. And to be honest, she can't afford to not go for those votes, because this election will always come down to the undecided moderate voter. That is whose vote she needs to go get. Especially because people said they weren't voting for her if she didn't do the thing that she always knew she wasn't going to do. Especially when she was already at such a disadvantage, not only because she entered the election late, but because she is a Black woman, that regardless of all the things that we know, it is still locked in a dead heat between her, someone who is well qualified for the position, and an insurrectionist felon. And I'm not telling you you need to suck it up. I'm not telling you to be okay with this. I'm not telling you to just live with it and let it go. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That is the beauty of voting, that you vote the way you need to vote. But I am saying to be shocked that a politician is being a politician in order to win a political seat instead of rocking the boat and tipping it over, which is exactly what you're asking for her to do, which is good. The boat needs to be tipped over. I'm not saying otherwise. But asking that of a politician and then being upset that they're a politician at the end of the day is disingenuous to the reality that we live in. To be upset with people who came to terms with this, plugged their noses, voted, and moved on is also unfair. It just doesn't make sense to expect, not demand. We can demand anything, but it doesn't make sense to expect radical change from a politician, a career politician, a marginalized career politician, and a marginalized career politician who entered the race with 20 minutes left to spare, who is currently working in an administration that she cannot directly undermine. It's a little unrealistic. I hate to say this. I hate to be this person. But realistically speaking, the G-side in Palestine was never making or breaking the 2024 election in the United States. And I'm not saying this because it doesn't matter. I'm not saying this because it isn't valuable or that your voice doesn't matter. I'm saying this because I think for a hot second, we just need to be realistic. Never mind the fact that most Americans for the last 70 years have been indoctrinated into being pro-white and blue. But most Americans actually don't know enough about foreign policy to be active, engaged, caring, empathetic citizens. They will say, oh, what's happening over there sucks. It's really unfortunate. But it's not clocking their top 10 list of things that they care about this election. And it should. People should care. People should want this more than they do. But they don't. And that's the reality of the situation. And that, coupled with the fact that generally speaking, Democrats, but especially leftists and liberals, don't go out and vote the way that we should, and definitely not the way that Republicans and moderates do, means that they're not actually looking for our vote and our voice on this too terribly much. We were not making or breaking this election. Now, our voices matter. We should go out and vote. We need to be active and engaged citizens because our voices can make or break an election, but it wasn't hinging on us. It wasn't hinging on our backs. This election, like the last one and the one before that, will come down to the moderates, the undecided people, and generally speaking, white women, which is why we keep seeing ads. Hey, white women, your vote is your own. What you do in that polling booth is your business, not your husband's. That's why you're seeing those ads, because that's who the election hinges on. We have got to get out of this bubble that we exist in, where we think our views and our stances and our voices are the dominant ones in the sphere that everybody should be listening to, because it's not realistic. If we want our voices to be that voice, the dominating voice, the one that makes or breaks an election, the one that really shapes things, then we need to get out and vote and be active and engaged more often than once every election cycle or once every disaster. People should care more about G-side, not just in Palestine, but around the world, and they just don't. Part of that is because people are not empathetic, caring people the way that they should be. And part of that is also because we just don't do a good enough job of informing people, telling other people, or being engaged any other time of the year. And it sucks, but it means that the vote that they're going for, the vote that they're willing to pander for, isn't going to be the leftist one. It just isn't. See, this right here is how I know y'all don't take anything actually seriously and just want to flounce around on your moral high horse. Because not voting is buck wild behavior. You know, putting aside that babies in the United States are also losing their lives due to a lack of adequate health care because of all these abortion laws, what we've seen in Gaza in the last couple of months is incomprehensible. I understand. And if the horrors that we've seen come out of Gaza means that you cannot comfortably and ethically vote for Harris, you don't want to vote third party, and you logically cannot vote for Trump, I understand. Leave it blank. But to not vote at all when we have 468 seats up for grabs in the Senate, 468 means that y'all don't stand for anything but your own general sense of moral superiority. I mean, I'm tired of hearing the whole, well, maybe Americans deserve to suffer because of what's happening in Palestine. Because realistically, we could say the same thing about the way y'all act about Congo and Sudan and Tigray and Haiti and Yemen. And we don't, because you and I both know that's just not true and that people shouldn't collectively suffer because of the actions of our politicians. But to do nothing at all, to not vote, to not contribute in the barest minimum way that we possibly can towards something better, because your hands feel like they're morally tied, means that your hands aren't morally tied. It means that you want to feel morally superior. You think you're being so edgy by not voting. Oh, I just can't bring myself to do it, that you're doing nothing at all. You are condemning the very people you say you're saving. I mean, there are other things on that ballot besides who's running for president, things that impact you directly, like your state and local officials, taxes, and who gets to vote in the future. All of those are also on the ballot, and you are condemning your own community so that you can think you're doing some morally superior thing. It's disgusting. Go vote.